of October 20th through October 26th. And we start off the 20th with the moon in Libra. Now, so we know that we're heading to the new moon in Libra. Now, it almost seemed like we were going to have the new moon in Libra last month, but remember we had the double Virgo new moons in a row. So now we get the new moon this week in the harmonious Venus sign of Libra. On Monday the 20th, Mercury, the planet of communication in the sign of Scorpio, becomes conjunct together with Mars, the planet of action and motivation in Scorpio. You have to be really careful about what you speak this week because Mars wants to take fast action. Mercury in Scorpio is like, can pick up people's secrets, can pick up all this underneath stuff. And you don't want to hurt someone with your words, or you don't want to bring attention to someone, something that they're not ready to hear. Okay. So think before you speak. On the 20th, again, this affects you a few days before, a few days after, and be careful. But also, it's a great time to write. You can get a lot of writing out. You can get, especially if you're writing like any kind of mystery or anything like that, there's a lot there, okay? Now, on the 21st, the new moon happens at 8:25 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. And this is going to be a new moon in Libra, which means the sun and the moon are both in the Venus sign of Libra, the relationship sign. And it's going to be square Jupiter, so it's going to make things bigger, and it's going to be square Pluto. So bringing that Scorpio aspect into things again, but there's a lot of power involved when Pluto's involved. May justice be served, this 28-degree Libra new moon on the 21st. Now, also on the 21st, I want you to get a notepad out and start taking notes about what's going on. If you aren't already doing that, please start now. Because all that happens from now until December 16th will be revisited. During the November Mercury retrograde that's going to start November 9th and run till November 29th. Pay attention for themes and take notes. This is the Mercury shadow period starting on the 21st. So basically, Mercury moves along, and this is the move along part covering this territory, gets to retrograde on November 9th, comes back over everything that happened to October 21st, and then it'll go direct and revisit it again. So we'll have 3 times over the same territory. So we're going to be seeing things from 3 different angles. So we know that maybe we don't have all the information yet to make a lot of decisions. Okay. Keep that in mind. Mercury shadow period beginning on Tuesday, October 21st, which is also the new moon. Now, this is a big week because the sun moves into Scorpio. So we officially start Scorpio season on October 22nd. This is at 11:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Surrender to the change, rise up from the ashes. I always think it's kind of cool that Scorpio is depicted as the phoenix rising up from the ashes. It's seen as the scorpion. It always has that stinger. It's also seen as the eagle, right, with the wide view, and the snake. So Scorpio is definitely an interesting sign. Scorpio is water sign. It's fluid. It's changeable, but Scorpio tends to resist the flow of water. And it resists change. It's kind of funny that it represents change, but it resists change. Energy, think of the energy in nature that, all the energy was up into growing the leaves of the tree and the fruits of the tree or the nuts of the tree. And then the energy starts to move down. The leaves are being, up here in New England, it's fall, the leaves are falling, and the energy starts to move back down into the roots. So we want to get grounded, rooted. This is a great time to start. We have a lot of the round vegetables in in bloom right now. We have squash and onions and all those great things. So, my experience in studying macrobiotic cooking was late summer was the 5th season. We call it 5 seasons. And so that's when we want to really work on the sweet element. That's like the end of September, like part of September, end of August into September. And so nurturing that sweet element, I always find that like I crave sugar more than ever during that change of season. And then we'll start going into the deeper root vegetables as the energy is moving deeper into the ground, into the preservation stage. So Sun to Scorpio, the 22nd of October through November 21st. Now, also on the 22nd, Neptune returns to the sign of Pisces. So Neptune, it's been doing this dance between being in its own sign of Pisces, then it moved into Aries recently. Neptune returns to Pisces October 22nd through January 26th. So once Neptune finishes up its time in Pisces, October 22nd through January 26th, it will not return to Pisces in any of our lifetime because it takes 165 years to return to the sign of Pisces. So this is a huge, big deal. Neptune has a hard time quitting things. It has themes of like your undoing. Okay. In the 12th house that Pisces owns is called the house of the undoing. And in old school astrology, it was where we would get ourselves into trouble. And so Neptune has a hard time quitting. And we're going to be revisiting back into the sign, back into Pisces. So be careful about going back into things that aren't good for you. This could be bad relationships for you, or it could be things like drugs and alcohol. Just be careful. It can feel the urge to almost self-sabotage, but we want to release that impulse to struggle, okay? Relax, take some deep breaths. The panic will pass, okay? Secrets will be revealed because Neptune Pisces is associated with secrets. We already have a lot of that with Scorpio energy about things coming up to the surface. So pay attention to what's going on. Be kind to yourself. With all this watery energy, we need more rest and care. Neptune returning to Pisces October 22nd through January 26th. Now, this is a big week because we have a lot going on. On the 24th, the Sun in Scorpio will square its ruler Pluto in the air sign of Aquarius. Now, you can't cover up lies. You got to own up to it. They're going to be revealed anyways. Dark motivation will be exposed. So you might as well come out with it. There's no use in digging a bigger hole, okay? Ethics, honesty, and integrity as the Sun in Scorpio squares Pluto on 10/24. The Moon is in Scorpio also on the 24th. It moves into Sagittarius after lunch. Now, the 24th and 25th, we have a grand water trine. So there's a lot of watery energy. Give yourself the gift of letting go of an old grudge. So Scorpio is involved in this. Mars is involved in this. And we were talking earlier about Mars and Scorpio. And I was talking about how I have that placement. I learned a lot about myself this month about Mars being in Scorpio because it's really easy for us to hold a grudge. And so we want to, sometimes Mars and Scorpio, we think like we're saying it's okay if we let something go. And sometimes we will keep that anger going. And Mars and Scorpio is going to be met with Jupiter and Cancer. And Jupiter and Cancer wants to make you feel at home, and it wants to welcome you, kind of bathes you in this warm and welcoming energy. And so you can let the chip off your shoulder. You can see the goodness. Saturn in Pisces, part of this grand water trine, what is the undoing? We talked about that. And we can often see the perks of the anger. And that anger can give us focus. But we want to give ourselves a chance to heal. And Neptune is also affiliated with healing. So don't let the anger undo you. Sacrifice that grudge and allow yourself to feel free. Let it go. So you have a great opportunity on the weekend of the 24th and 25th. 5th. And a nice Sagittarius weekend, which is about freedom in general. The moon moves into Capricorn after lunch on Sunday, the 26th. Let's pick a couple cards. Pick a couple cards for this week, this big week. There's so much going on. There's a new moon. Make sure you got your moon water out. I would get it out over the weekend if you can on the 18th and 19th. If not, by Monday the 20th, get your moon water out and put it in a jar, cover it, let it soak up the rays of this Libra new moon, beauty value, okay? New moon is a great time to place your order, what it is that you want, and also maybe what it is that you're willing to let go of. See what your cards are for the week ahead. We have the Queen of Wands. Talk about freedom. She's the Queen of Freedom. She's a fire queen. Often think of her as a Sagittarius queen. And she is ready to release, to live the big life that she wants to live. You have the Three of Wands. So you got more fire energy. You've got these cats climbing up to the top of this mountain and looking out, seeing where they want to go and what they want to do. It's hard to climb that mountain if you're carrying a large amount of baggage and grudges. And the organ grinder. This is quite the card here from the Relative Tarot. And I wasn't sure what an organ grinder was, but I guess he tunes organs or has something to do with organs, not bodily organs, the musical instrument, okay? But we've got organ grinder there, and it has like a heavy presence to it. And so, like, it almost makes me think of like that term, like grind my gears, or just like, getting really frustrated. But there's energy of releasing, of getting lighter here, feeling better, transforming. There's so much Scorpio energy here to transform. But as we said earlier, Scorpio likes to resist the transformation, right? Because in astrology, when we talk about one extreme, we're also talking about the other extreme. So when we say Scorpio rules transformation and change, it also rules the resistance to it. So you're being asked to move into freedom.